Imagine stocks, bonds, real estate, treasury securities, and even dollars being represented digitally on blockchains. What would that actually mean for you? So, we're going to get into all these different things. And if the world does move to it, which it's looking very clearly that it is right now, and eventually regulations will make that happen. So, with tokenized stocks, so when it comes to stocks, the stock market, any companies, anything in growth, it's all put onto stocks for people's retirement, things of that sort. So when moving traditional stocks, you'd be moving it to companies like Solana, XLM, Avalanche, Link, HBAR, Algorand, Quant, Polygon, Ondo, and Canton. So there'll be a lot of companies, crypto companies that are involved based on their how their systems operate and how they move money and how cost efficient they are, how safe they are. They will be used for the stock market, for companies' growth, and then also people buying into those companies, which would be stocks. So keeping it really simple, moving along to bonds or loans. So bonds or loans sometimes have interest tied because people can't pay them off right away, right? So usually there's things like interest tied to these types of things. So crypto companies like XLM, XDC, Ondo, Canton, and Goldfinch. And Goldfinch specifically works on credit loans and basically just any kind of credit or loan. Goldfinch is a good company that will be performing that part of everything in the world. And BlackRock is a company they're partnered with, so always good to know that. And then treasuries, or what I really like to call debt, would be similar. A loan, a debt paid back. Goldfinch would be one of those crypto companies at the top of the line. XLM, Canton, and Ondo. And then you get into something called stable coins. Stable coins would just match to the current dollar system. So if you have $500,000 in assets, then $500 in assets will be moved on to a stable coin, and the stable coin will match the dollar. So the stable coin will work as a middle ground for moving cash to stablecoin and stablecoin to cryptocurrency, or cryptocurrency to stablecoin and back to cash. So that's how that will work. Crypto companies that will be used as a pegged dollar will be DAI, USDT, USDC, and PayPal's USD. Getting into central bank digital currencies. Now, these would be similar to how the money moves around on the top of the chain. So think of like a central bank or a bank. So cryptocurrencies like XRP and XLM, those will operate for one will operate for banks, which is XRP. XLM will operate for global trade. So the finality of the transaction will be cleared through with global trade with XLM. When it comes to real world assets like real estate, let's just keep that as one example. Real estate would be handled by companies like HBAR, which value land, Algorand, XLM, Global Trade, XDC would be involved with public trade. Ondo would be helping move those processes around. Canton as well. Finally, Quant, QNT, and Link, Chainlink. So when it comes to digital settlements, so digital settlements will be like getting paid through your employer. So, or, through a transaction, through something being paid out. So similar to that, there'll be settlements like XLM, Ondo, Canton, keeping it really basic. But there'll be a lot of companies. I mean, I could name 25, 30 companies that will have involvement in settlement with money involved. So in the end of that transaction. And then faster transactions will be ICP, Solana, SUI, XRP, and XLM. So think of like 3 to 5 seconds the transaction is sent and then the receiver receives the money. So very fast. That's what a world would look like. And then finally, talking about traditional finance. So when it comes to payout for retirement, or some of your 401ks, or a payout in selling a home, or anything that has to do with an asset that's being paid out. So your traditional way is 20% with a 3 to 5 day wire transfer, maybe longer, depending on the companies tied to your bank. How that would work with a crypto or digital involved money would be a 3 to 5 second transaction where the money would be sent and the money would be received. So very quick time with transaction. And again, going back to wire transferring, 20%, it's a lot of money. For most people, that's kind of too much money. So when you're looking at cryptocurrencies that will be sending the money, it will be 0.00001% of the overall amount that you are sending. So again, it makes perfect sense to do this because everything moves quicker, moves cheaper, and we are in a greater amount of debt that we can't really get out of. So this is why your everyday person is going to want to move to this, because we have that direction going on already. So going back to the original statement, imagine stocks, bonds, real estate, treasury securities, and even dollars being represented on the blockchain. So in essence, everything will run cheaper, much faster, not days, but seconds, not 20%, but 4 decimal points and a 1 on your percentage of the overall amount of money moving. So when it comes down to you deciding if you want to move your money into cryptocurrency, it just becomes a matter of, am I being most efficient with the amount of money that I am paying to send money or to receive money? Am I getting my money quick enough to pay my bills? Well, you have the numbers. 20% wire transfer at a 3 to 5 day window, maybe longer, or a 3 to 5 second window where the money moves no matter how much you send. And it's in essence literally nothing to send it. So I hope this video was informative for you, and I hope it makes you think about what decision you should make, what cryptos you should invest in. And the cryptos I mentioned are the ones that would be the best opportunity to get into because they are inexpensive to buy. And these companies are all connected through the biggest corporations in the world. Appreciate your time. Please do subscribe to my channel and like my video. And I will be putting out other videos on cryptocurrency for everyone to learn about. Thank you.